Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird. Yankees versus Red Sox. Joey Chestnut versus Kobayashi. These are all of the greatest rivalries known to mankind that arguably could be on the Mount Rushmore of rivalries, but we're missing one spot, and maybe that spot should be held by riding mowers versus zero turn. Today we'll dive into that topic and ultimately decide which is the best option for you and your yard. For you zero-turn fanatics, I know the answer might seem obvious, but I know I can't be alone when I say that something about riding mowers gets me nostalgic. I grew up on a riding mower, right? Way back in my day, the mid-2000s, my dad had a Craftsman riding mower that I mowed the lawn every week during the summertime. So there's something about riding mowers that's just nostalgic for me. So that's why I think that you can't write them off completely. And I do think there are still some advantages of choosing a riding mower today. So there are a lot of glaring differences between the two, but let's start on the riding mower side today. I have a John Deere D140. We are a Bad Boy and Toro dealer, so we don't sell John Deere, and neither of the brands we stock sell riding mowers. So we have to have a used one here for this video. And that's the first kind of point to talk about is commonly riding mowers are becoming something that you can find at box stores, not as common as dealers. Places like John Deere dealers are going to have them. They're still one of the biggest brands that make them, probably the most recognizable riding mower there is. Husqvarna is another brand that still makes riding mowers. Cub Cadet still makes riding mowers, as does Craftsman. So there's a number of brands that still make riders, but a lot of the big name brands you see on the zero-turn side don't make riding mowers anymore. So for this John Deere, the biggest difference you'll see is obviously a steering wheel. That's probably the most familiar way and easiest way to learn how to mow a lawn. Again, that's what I grew up on. And so I think that's why a lot of people are still drawn to the riding mower. It's familiar, it's very intuitive, it's easy to learn, right? This one is also hydrostatic transmission. So what does that mean? If you look over here, you'll have a forward and reverse pedal. So very similar to a vehicle. If you want to drive forward, you have your foot pedal here. Reverse, you have your reverse pedal here. So again, just very intuitive. It does not take much learning to understand how to ride this. So it's a very unintimidating machine to use. Going over the general structure, underneath the hood, you'll find your battery and your engine. So that's gonna be the main thing that's under the hood there. As we move back, you'll have your throttle here. You'll have your key right here, your PTO and hour meter. So again, a lot of features that you'll find on a zero turn are here just in kind of a different location than what you might be used to if you've had a zero turn for years and years. You have your seat, your deck adjustments on the left-hand side here. It's as easy as just moving this lever up and down to get it to your exact desired cutting height. And then around the back side here, you kind of have it hidden, but you have your gas tank. So again, riding mowers are very familiar. They feel easy to use. They're unintimidating. I think that's why there's still a big draw to them. And over on the zero turn side, this is where it's at nowadays, right? Almost every commercial cutter is going to be riding a zero turn. Lots of these dealerships are going to be zero turn specific. So again, the basic structure, very different. It's a lot more wide open. Again, your engine is in the back rather than the front. Instead of a steering wheel, you have these lap bars. Everything's just in a different spot. The cutting deck is shaped a little bit differently. There's deck access here that's very easy to use. So just different structure overall. And I think that can be one of the more intimidating things is looking and trying to figure out how the heck do I mow my lawn using bars like that? And what is a zero turn, right? So I think that can be what's intimidating, but if you are someone that's willing to learn and jump past that initial fear of kind of learning what it takes to operate a zero turn, I have yet to hear someone tell me that going from a tractor to a zero turn was a mistake. Everybody that comes through here says they are happy they switched from a tractor to a zero turn. And the reason, this is a Bad Boy MZ Magnum. So this is an entry-level residential for Bad Boy. The D140 is more of they call it almost a box store model for John Deere. So both of these you can find at box stores. Tractor Supply also sells Bad Boy. So both of these would be options you'd see at a box store. That's kind of why I thought it'd be an easy comparison there for these two mowers. So where do the advantages come in? Now that we kind of understand the basic structure of each, where do the advantages come in one side versus the other? If we start on the zero turn side, the advantages are very clear. Number one, it's going to be faster. Zero turns are just able to cut grass faster. They save you time. They're quicker machines. They maneuver easier. And a lot of people who mow their lawns want to save time. So this is a faster machine that's a big time saver. They're also just more comfortable. I think it's a more comfortable ride on the side of a zero turn. You can get a lot more suspension options than you can in a riding tractor. You also could just have a lot more wide open of a platform, which I think is more comfortable for your legs. So I think comfort's a big advantage on the zero turn side. And then obviously maneuverability. You can maneuver around objects a lot easier on the side of a zero turn. And with maneuverability in mind, you usually can find a better cut quality on the zero turn side as well. I think that they just have a better attention to detail for all the manufacturers. They're all putting together zero turns that commercial mowers are using, that they're then implementing into a lot of their residential models. So you're commonly going to find a much better cut quality on the side of a zero turn as well. And then on the lawn tractor side, like I said at the beginning, they're just a lot more familiar. They're easier to use overall. Someone who's never mowed grass before could jump on this and get the hang of it quicker than they could on a zero turn. So familiarity is probably the biggest advantage as to why people are still buying riding tractors today. Secondly, commonly they're going to be less expensive than zero turns. So if you're buying from a box store, they're the entry-level models, you're usually going to find a little bit better price points on the riding tractor side. And then lastly, a big advantage I think is they have a lot more attachments. So you can usually get a front blade, you can get a snow blower, you can tow things off the back. They have a larger towing capacity, so they can usually tow a little bit more than what zero turns can. So if you're someone who might be using your lawn tractor more than just cutting grass and you want attachments with it, that's usually an advantage that's greater on the lawn tractor side than what you would find on the zero turn. And to just show you how much more of an advantage a zero turn can be once you have the hang of it, we're gonna do a speed test here, and we're also gonna do a maneuverability test, just so you guys can kind of see just how much of a difference it makes once you have a zero turn mower. So moving these back into place, I actually encountered one of the biggest errors that you can make on a zero turn mower, and that's tearing up your lawn. If you look right here, I wasn't thinking, I was just pulling the zero turn right up, did a quick zero turn to get it into place, and you can see what happens if you're not careful. This pulled a pretty big chunk of grass out of the yard here, so that is a downfall. You gotta be careful. If you're doing true zero turns and whipping the mower around, you are gonna tear up your lawn a lot more than you would on a lawn tractor side.
Give that guy a manual. What are you doing?
So again, that could be user error there. I wasn't being careful, but that is a risk you do run with a zero turn mower. So based on those tests, firstly, we see that the zero turn is a little bit faster than the riding tractor. And secondly, we see it's also easier to maneuver. So what does that tell us? If you have a lawn that has some tight spaces or some trees you have to work around, maybe that zero turn is the right option for you. You'll be able to maneuver around those trees or those obstacles a lot easier than you would on the side of a riding tractor. And then if you're someone who just wants to be on your mower for as little time as possible, again, that nod probably goes to the zero turn side. You'll just spend less time on your mower overall. And then the last thing to consider is dealer availability. You have typically a lot larger network of zero turn dealers throughout the country if you buy a zero turn mower. Again, it kind of gets a lot more brand specific over on the lawn tractor side. A lot of that dealer support comes in if you have a John Deere dealer or a Husqvarna dealer, Cub Cadet around you versus just kind of buying one of those at a box store. So again, I would really consider dealer support. Zero turns have huge networks. A lot of times what they sell, they will work on versus what the box stores can do. So a lot of times zero turn mowers are just a lot better dealer support after your purchase, which can honestly be a huge deal. Now, when it comes down to choosing your unit, I think it really boils down to, do you want something that's familiar and comfortable just in how to use it, how to operate it like a lawn tractor? Or do you want to save yourself a lot of time like you could on a zero-turn mower? So those are two questions to consider. I myself, even though I grew up on the riding tractor, and like I said, it is a little nostalgic, I would 100% choose a zero-turn mower. But I understand the decision is yours to make individually. Let us know in the comments, what do you have? What did you decide? I'm sure we got a lot of zero-turn people, but I would be curious to hear from the riding mower people as well in the comments. What kept you sticking with a riding tractor? Was it something different than I mentioned? We love when we can kind of see your guys' thoughts down in the comments. But thank you guys for watching. We always appreciate the support. Please make sure you like and subscribe the video if you like content like this. Until the next time, we'll see you later.